tricks. Today in this video we will try to understand committees of parliament. Parliament in modern times have a lot of work to do, but they have very little time at their disposal. So the committees of parliament help them to function properly by scrutinizing legislative matters, bills and any other matter which come up in the parliament in detail. So the parliamentary committees are the committees which are appointed or elected by the house or nominated by the speaker or chairman. Since they are appointed or elected by the house, they work under the guidance of the house or the speaker or the chairman, and they submit their report to the house or to the speaker or chairman. They have a secretariat also provided by the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha secretariat. There are two kinds of committees in the parliament. First we have standing committee and second ad hoc committees. Standing committees can be joint committees or separate committees of each house. Standing committees are of permanent in nature, which means they are elected or nominated for a fixed period of time, or they are elected periodically. For example, the standing committees can be nominated or elected for 1 year or for full 5 year term, or they can be made every year. While the ad hoc committees are of temporary nature, they are made for some specific purposes, and when their purpose is fulfilled, they are dismantled. Ad hoc committees can be of two types: inquiry committee and advisory committee. Since there are so many committees, so to avoid confusion, first in this video we will try to understand joint committees, and then in the next video we will learn about separate committees of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Before we go into the details of joint committees, few important and common facts which apply to each of the joint committees can be learned, so that for each of these joint committees we do not have to read them again and again. First of all, they are elected by parliament from amongst its members. Obviously, if they are the committees of the parliament, the members will be from amongst the members of the parliament. Second, principle of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote is applied. Why this system is applied? This helps in giving representation to each party in the committee. For example, if a party has 100 members in Lok Sabha, then according to their number of seats in Lok Sabha, they get representation in the committee also. In this way, each of the party gets represented in the joint committee. Their term is of 1 year, and most important thing is that a minister cannot be its member. If a member is made a minister later on, then he or she ceases to be the member of the joint committee. First joint committee is Public Accounts Committee. Though the website of the Rajya Sabha mentions the Public Accounts Committee as the financial committee of Lok Sabha with which members of the Rajya Sabha are associated, however in the Lakshmikant's polity you will read that the committee which has both the members of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha are called joint committees. Therefore, I have mentioned Public Accounts Committee under joint committees. So what is Public Accounts Committee? By the name only you can guess that this committee has something to do with the accounts. So the main duty of the committee is to ascertain whether the money granted by parliament has been spent by government within the scope of the demand. What does this scope of the demand means? Which means that the money which was spent was first legally available, second it was made by the concerned authority, and third any reappropriation of the money has been done according to the rules. So these three objectives has to be kept in mind by the Public Accounts Committee while scrutinizing the public accounts. Now who checks the public accounts? It is the CAG who presents the report. So the Public Accounts Committee examines the appropriation account of the Government of India and examines the audit reports presented by the Controller and Auditor General. So these two reports forms the basis of the examination of Public Accounts Committee. Important thing to note is that the committee is not concerned with questions of policy. This means that committee cannot question the policy behind any expenditure. It cannot question it, why the government has made such policy. It only can question the execution of the policy, which means whether the policy has been well executed or not, whether there was any corruption, whether there was any extravagance or something like that. So it It does not question the policy, only the execution of the policy laid down by Parliament and its result. This Public Accounts Committee was set up in 1921, one of the oldest committees, and set up under the Government of India Act 1919. These are few facts which you will have to remember for objective type of questions. There are 22 members in this Public Accounts Committee, 15 from Lok Sabha and 7 from Rajya Sabha. And if you have to write any subjective answer, just remember these things and copy paste the common facts that I mentioned earlier. This completes the Public Accounts Committee. Next we have Committee on Public Undertakings. Public undertakings are companies or corporations that are owned by the government, by the state government or the union government, or the companies or corporation in which the government has 51% stakes. The Committee on Public Undertakings first examines the reports and accounts of public undertakings. It examines the reports, if any, of CAG on the public undertakings. It also examines the context of the autonomy and efficiency of the public undertakings, whether the affairs of the public undertakings are being managed in accordance with sound business principles and prudent commercial practices. But the committee does not examine matters of major government policy and matters of day-to-day administration of the undertakings. This means that this committee can examine whether the public undertakings are being managed on sound business principles or not, but they cannot question the policy of the government. They can only check whether they are run based on that policy or principle or not, and whether that policy or practices are prudent or not. Prudent means wise, judicious. So the commercial practices are judicious or not. This committee was established in 1964 on the recommendation of Krishna Menon Committee. Earlier there were 15 members, 10 from Lok Sabha, 10 from Lok Sabha and 5 from Rajya Sabha. But now it has been increased to 22, 15 from Lok Sabha and 7 from Rajya Sabha. So the number of members in both the Committee on Public Undertakings and Public Accounts Committee is 22. Then we have departmental standing committees. When I discussed the budget making process, I talked about departmental standing committees. These committees are attached to each department and help the parliament in debating the budget more effectively. The main function of this departmental standing committee is securing more accountability of executive to the parliament, and that too financial accountability. These departmental standing committees were established in 1993. Earlier there were only 17 departmental standing committees. Now we have 24, and each standing committee consists of 31 members, 21 from Lok Sabha and 10 from Rajya Sabha. The members from Lok Sabha are nominated by the Speaker, and members from Rajya Sabha are nominated by the Chairman. This means that in the departmental standing committees, all the members are nominated by Speaker or Chairman in each of the house. And remaining facts, common facts which I discussed earlier, that no minister can be member of the committee and it is formed for 1 year, those all facts apply in the departmental standing committee also. Only that the members are nominated in the departmental standing committee. The function of each of the standing committees are: first, they consider the demand for grants of the concerned ministries, they examine bills of concerned ministries and department, they consider annual reports of ministries, they consider national basic long-term policy documents presented to the houses. These are the function of departmental standing committee. I already discussed about departmental standing committee in my video on budget making procedure. Apart from assisting departments, these standing committee do not consider the matters of day-to-day administration, and they do not generally consider the matters which are considered by the other parliamentary committees. These are the limitations that are imposed on the departmental standing committee. Next we have Committee on Welfare of Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes. This committee examines the reports presented by the National Commission for the SCs and the National Commission for the STs, and it also examines all matters relating to the welfare of SCs and STs. There are 30 members in this committee, 20 from Lok Sabha plus 10 from Rajya Sabha. Another joint committee is Joint Committee on Salaries and Allowances of Members. This committee consists of 15 members, 10 from Lok Sabha and 5 from Rajya Sabha. It frames rules for regulating payment of salary, allowances and pension to members of parliament. It was first constituted in 1954. Few other joint committees are Library Committee, Committee on Empowerment of Women, Joint Committee on Offices of Profit. Library Committee considers all matters relating to Library of Parliament and assists the members in utilizing the library services. Committee on Empowerment of Women was established in 1997 and there are 30 members, 20 from Lok Sabha and 10 from Rajya Sabha. It considers the reports of National Commission for Women and examines the measures taken by the Union government to secure status, dignity and equality for women in all fields. Next we have Joint Committee on Offices of Profit. Just like the pituitary gland which controls the other glands, this Committee on Offices of Profit examines the committees or bodies formed by the central government, state government or union territory, and they examine whether the members hold the offices of profit or not and whether they should be disqualified on the basis of that. It consists of 15 members, 10 from Lok Sabha and 5 from Rajya Sabha. This is the composition of Joint Committee on Offices of Profit. So these were the joint committees of the Parliament. Hope you understood the joint committees. If you were not able to follow anything or have any confusion, drop a comment in the comment box. I will respond as quickly as possible. I will be making the next video on the committees on Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and I will try to make a trick also for you to remember all these committees and their composition. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to give a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button.